If you have him arrested, you are fired. Do you hear me? You are done at this company." My boss, Mr. Henderson, was screaming so loud that a vein was visibly pulsing in his forehead. The entire sales floor had gone dead silent. 40 people were staring at us, phones out, recording. To my left, 2 police officers were waiting for my answer, their hands resting near their belts. And sitting in the chair, my chair, was Brad, looking pale, sweating, and suddenly realizing that his arrogant smirk had just written a check his career couldn't cash. The officer looked me dead in the eye. "Sir, it's up to you. Do you want to press charges for theft?" I looked at Brad, I looked at my boss threatening my livelihood, and then I looked at the $1,800 Herman Miller Aeron chair that started this entire war. But to understand how I ended up unemployed and watching a coworker get put in handcuffs over office furniture, we have to go back to the beginning. It started with a new job. I've been in sales for a long time, and I recently landed a position at a mid-sized security firm. We sold high-end access control systems, CCTV setups, and commercial alarm integration. It was a serious industry. You need background checks, security clearances, and state licenses just to touch the paperwork. I thought I had hit the jackpot. The commission structure was great, the location was perfect, and the team seemed decent enough. Well, except for the furniture. You know those cheap, generic office chairs that feel like they're made of plywood and sad intentions? The ones where the padding has been compressed by 15 years of previous employees until it's basically just fabric over hard plastic. That was what they assigned me. By day 3, my lower back was screaming. I have sciatica, and sitting in that torture device for 8 hours a day was physically impossible. I couldn't focus on my calls because I was constantly shifting, trying to find a position that didn't send a jolt of pain down my left leg. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I wasn't going to beg for an upgrade during my probation period. I'm a professional, and I take my tools seriously. So I brought in my own chair. Now, this wasn't just any chair. This was a Herman Miller Aeron. If you know, you know. It's the gold standard. It's fully adjustable, mesh-backed, ergonomic perfection. It cost me $1,800 out of my own pocket. It's an investment in my health. I brought it in on a Wednesday. I set it up in my cubicle, adjusted the lumbar support, and finally, for the first time that week, I could work in peace. I felt great. I closed 2 deals that afternoon. Then came Thursday, day 4. I walked into the office a few minutes early, coffee in hand, ready to crush the day. I turned the corner into my aisle, looked at my cubicle, and stopped cold. My chair was gone. In its place was that nasty, broken-down torture device I had shoved into the corner the day before. I felt a spike of panic. Did the cleaning crew take it? Did management remove it? I scanned the room. 2 rows over, sitting with his feet up on his desk, was a guy named Brad. Brad was one of those sales guys who peaked in high school. Loud, obnoxious, always bragging about his numbers, but somehow never seemingly doing any work. And there he was, leaning back in my $1,800 Aeron, spinning slightly left and right, looking like the king of the tassel. I walked over to him, trying to keep my cool. I didn't want to be the new guy starting drama in his first week. "Hey, Brad," I said, forcing a smile. "I think there's been a mix-up. You're sitting in my chair." Brad didn't even take his feet off the desk. He just glanced at me over the rim of his coffee mug. "Company property, man. Open seating." "No," I corrected him, my voice firm. "That's not company property. I brought that from home yesterday. It's mine. I paid for it." Brad laughed. It was a dismissive, condescending chuckle. "Look, new guy, around here, if it's on the floor, it's up for grabs. My chair was broken. This one looked open. Finders keepers." "It's not finders keepers," I said, my patience fraying. "It cost nearly $2,000. Get out of the chair, Brad." He finally swung his legs down, but not to get up. He leaned forward, getting into my personal space. "Or what? You gonna cry to HR? Beat it. I'm on a call in 5 minutes." He put his headset on and deliberately turned his back to me. I stood there, shaking. I wanted to tip him out of it right then and there, but I knew that would get me fired for workplace violence. I needed to play this by the book. I went straight to Mr. Henderson's office. Mr. Henderson was the owner and the manager. He was an old-school guy, the type who thought motivation meant yelling and that employees were basically interchangeable cogs. I knocked and walked in. "Mr. Henderson, I have a bit of an issue. I brought in a personal ergonomic chair for my back, and Brad has taken it and refuses to return it." Henderson didn't look up from his computer. "Work it out amongst yourselves. I don't run a kindergarten." "I tried," I said. "He claims it's company property because it's in the building." Henderson sighed, took off his glasses, and looked at me with pure annoyance. "Look, what is your name again? Mark? Look, Mark, we have a policy here. Equipment is first come, first serve. We don't have assigned seating for chairs. If you want a specific spot or a specific piece of furniture, you get here early. That's how we encourage punctuality." I blanked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Sir, with all due respect, this isn't company inventory. I personally own this chair. I have the receipt. It didn't come from your budget. It's my personal property, just like my phone or my car." Henderson waved his hand dismissively. "You bring it into my office, it becomes part of the office environment. I can't have people fighting over furniture. If you want that chair, come in earlier than Brad. Now get out. I have a business to run." I walked out of that office in a daze. It wasn't just unfair, it was insane. The owner of a security company, a company that sells anti-theft devices, had just told me that theft was perfectly fine as long as you arrived early enough to do it. I went back to my desk and sat in the broken chair. I watched Brad all day. He was flaunting it. He'd roll past my desk unnecessarily, giving me a little salute. He was enjoying the power trip. I didn't work much that afternoon. Instead, I went through my emails and cloud storage. I found the digital receipt for the Aeron. I found the shipping manifest. And crucially, I confirmed something I already knew. Herman Miller chairs have a sticker underneath the seat with a unique serial number and the manufacturing date. I printed everything out. 2 copies. The next morning, Friday, I showed up. I didn't show up early. I showed up right on time. I walked in, and just as I expected, Brad was in my chair. He was chatting with a couple of other reps, looking comfortable and smug. When he saw me, he smirked. "Too slow, Mark," he called out across the room. "Gotta wake up earlier if you want the throne." The other reps giggled nervously. They knew this was wrong, but nobody wanted to cross Brad or the boss. I walked right up to his desk. The office fell quiet. "Brad," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I am asking you one last time. Give me my property back." "And I'm telling you one last time," Brad sneered. "Go cry about it. Henderson said it's fair game. Get out of my face." "Okay," I said, calm as a bomb. "You're refusing to return stolen property?" "It ain't stealing if the boss says it's mine," he laughed. "Okay," I repeated. I pulled out my phone. I didn't call Henderson. I didn't call HR. I dialed 911. "Yes," I said into the phone, maintaining eye contact with Brad. "I'd like to report a theft in progress. I'm at the offices of Secure Tech Solutions. One of the employees has taken personal property of mine valued at $1,800 and is refusing to return it. Yes, the perpetrator is still on the scene. I'll wait for the officers." Brad's face changed. The smirk dropped. "You did not just call the cops." "I did," I said, "and since the value is over $1,000, that's grand larceny in this state. That's a felony, Brad." "You're bluffing," he stammered, but he didn't look so sure anymore. "Sit tight," I said. "They're on their way." Mr. Henderson came storming out of his office. "What is going on out here? Why is everyone standing around?" "Mark called the cops," someone whispered. Henderson turned purple. He marched over to me. "You did what? You called the police into my place of business? Over a chair?" "Over the theft of personal property valued at nearly $2,000, I corrected him. "You told me you wouldn't handle it. You told me it was first come, first serve. So I'm letting the law handle it." Henderson hissed, "Right now?" "I can't," I said. "They're already dispatched." For 10 excruciating minutes, the office was a tomb. Brad sat in the chair, looking nervous, tapping his foot. Henderson paced back and forth, muttering about how unprofessional I was. I just stood there, leaning against my desk, arms crossed. Then the heavy glass doors opened. 2 uniformed police officers walked in. "We had a call about a theft," one of them asked. "Over here, officers," I waved. Henderson tried to intercept them. "Officers, this is a huge misunderstanding. It's a civil dispute between employees. There's no need for—" The officer ignored him and looked at me. "Is this the gentleman?" "I'm the owner, and I demand—" "Sir, step back," the officer said firmly. He turned to me. "What was stolen?"
"That chair?" I pointed at Brad. "It's a Herman Miller Aeron. I bought it personally. It cost $1,800. That man, Brad, took it from my cubicle and refused to give it back." The cop turned to Brad. "Is this your chair, sir?" Brad stood up, looking shaky. Well, it's in the office. The boss said we can sit wherever. I didn't steal it. I'm just using it." "Does it belong to the company?" the officer asked Henderson. Henderson paused. He knew he couldn't lie to the police about inventory without creating a massive paper trail mess. "Technically, no. We didn't purchase it. Mark brought it in, but he brought it onto my premises, so it's not company property," the officer clarified. He turned back to me. "Can you prove it's yours?" "Absolutely," I said. I pulled the papers from my pocket. "Here is the receipt with my name and credit card info. Here is the shipping manifest matching the serial number. And if you look under the seat of that chair, you will find the matching serial sticker." The officer nodded. He walked over to the chair. Brad backed away as if it was radioactive. The officer knelt, flipped the heavy chair onto its side, and shone his flashlight on the mechanism box. He read the number out loud. Then he looked at my paper. "It's a match," the officer said. He stood up and faced Brad. "Sir, you are in possession of stolen property. The owner is standing right here with proof of purchase. You were aware this wasn't yours?" He said, the boss said." Brad was stuttering now. The officer looked at me. "Sir, do you want to resolve this civilly? If he returns the property now—" I looked at Brad. He wasn't apologizing. He was looking at Henderson to save him. And that's when Henderson lost it. That brings us back to the moment I started with. "If you have him arrested," Henderson screamed, stepping into my face, "you are fired. You hear me? We don't do this here. We are a family." A family, the classic toxic workplace catchphrase. A family that steals from you and then gaslights you about it. I looked at Henderson. "You're threatening to fire me for reporting a crime?" "I'm firing you for causing a scene and bringing the police into my building," he yelled. The officer stepped between us. "Sir, back away. You cannot intimidate a witness." The officer turned back to me. "Do you want to press charges?" I thought about the last 2 days. I thought about the pain in my back. I thought about finders keepers. But mostly, I thought about the industry we work in. See, Brad and I work in security sales. To hold this job, you need a clean record. You need a state-issued security license. If you have a theft charge, especially a felony-level theft charge on your record, your license is revoked immediately. You are blacklisted. You can never work in this industry again. Brad knew it, Henderson knew it, and I knew it. Brad looked at me, his eyes pleading. "Mark, come on, don't be a jerk, I'll give it back." It was too late for that. He had 2 days to give it back. He had 5 minutes ago to give it back. I looked the officer in the eye. "Absolutely," I said clearly. "I want to press charges. He stole my property and refused to return it." "Okay," the officer said. He turned to Brad. "Turn around, hands behind your back." The sound of the handcuffs ratcheting shut was the loudest sound I have ever heard. Brad started crying. Actually crying. "Mr. Henderson, do something." Henderson turned to me, his face white with rage. "Get your stuff. You're done. Get out of my building." "Gladly," I said. I walked over to my chair. I grabbed it by the handle. As the officers marched a weeping Brad out the front door, past the shocked faces of the entire sales team, I rolled my chair right behind them. I packed my personal items in a box, put the box on the seat of my $1,800 chair, and wheeled it out the front door right past Henderson, who was shaking with rage. "You'll never work in this town again," he shouted, like a villain in a bad movie. "Neither will he," I pointed at Brad being loaded into the back of the cruiser. I put my chair in my trunk and drove home. Here is the aftermath. Obviously, I was fired. I filed for unemployment immediately, citing wrongful termination and retaliation for reporting a crime. The labor board is having a field day with Henderson right now.
As for Brad, he was charged with grand larceny. Because he admitted to taking it in front of the police, it was an open and shut case. He's currently out on bail, but the damage is done. In our state, the moment you are charged with a felony involving dishonesty or theft, your security sales license is suspended pending trial. His license was pulled yesterday. He was fired by Henderson this morning because legally, he can no longer sell the products the company offers.
He's been in this industry for 15 years. It's the only thing he knows how to do. And now, because he was too arrogant to get out of a chair that didn't belong to him, his career is over. I'm already interviewing with a competitor. They loved the story. They think it shows tenacity and attention to detail. I feel a little bad that the guy's life is ruined. I mean, it was just a chair. But then I remember him smirking at me, telling me finders keepers like a schoolyard bully, and I sleep just fine in my very comfortable ergonomic chair. But I have to ask, I scorched the earth. I got a man arrested and ruined his career over furniture. Do you think I went too far? Or did he get exactly what he deserved? Let me know in the comments below.